All right, my mic was previously off. I have done this part in my previous video. I was saying that this is the table which is showing that all the variables are significant. Now I need to create an APA style of table using this table. So go to edit, copy table, and go to your Excel sheet, control V. It will look like this. So what you need to do, always remember that when you are creating an APA style of table, you need to put some editing here. So what kind of editing you need to require here? You are seeing ROA in the first row. You need to point here. DB is equal to ROA. Equal to ROA. You need to make them also in capital shape, and you need to make all of them using Times New Roman, right? Now create your robust standard error here. You need to adjust it here. If it is not converting, you can select both of these two different rows and merge them like this. Robust standard error. You can rewrite them in the following way. All right. You can erase these two columns. These are basically not required in APA style of table. The only table which are required here, these are the tables. So what you need to do, you need to make them in APA style of table. Just copy the table from here and put it in your output file like this. Go to the insert bar, tables, convert text to the table. No, you just need to make it looks like a table using this command, all borders. It will indicate the column and rows of your table. You need to make the adjustment in this table. So I am adjusting. You can make them in the capital wording, like you go to this option and you can select sentence case, and it will increase the first letter of your uh, variables. You can make them on the left align. Now one thing that you need to include it here, either on the bottom side on or on the upper side. You can include, my suggestion is that you need to include on the bottom side, that is basically some of the things that are here. The first thing is number of observation. The second thing is uh, f value, probability greater than f value, and r square. These are the things which you need to put in your regression table. You can copy it from here. You can put in the Excel sheet just like this, and you can copy them. If they are not visible, you just need to copy from here. You just need to copy from here like this. Number of observation 1995, like this. Then the other one is F value, like this. And whenever you need to include the F value, always remember that this value comprise the F value and its significance too. So we can arrange it in two different columns, in two different rows, same rows, sorry. That is probability greater than F here, because they are indicating the same thing, like this. Then in the next row, we need to adjust the R square value. It looks like 0.2261. Now, this table is complete for simple regression analysis. Now, what I need to do is further, always remember that whenever your coefficients are significant, you can also use the steric sign here, but it is not needed because we are providing the p-value and p-values here. So we don't need to include any steric sign. But if we don't want to show them or don't want to show the p-value, especially the p-value of our regression table, we need to use the steric sign. We also can enhance the significance values or p-values by putting zero signs here. So what we need to do, we need to exclude the lines from here to make it an APA style table. You need to select this row, put the bottom border here, put the top border here, also click the second row, put the top border here, just like this. And you need to click on the last row and you need to select the bottom border. So that's how you can create your table, your regression table in APA style. Now you can interpret these values. Always remember that whenever you need to interpret the correlation matrix table, it means you are checking the association between variables. It means the association between ROA and Tobin's rule. But when you are basically interpreting the regression table, you need to know that you are seeing the impact of your independent variable on your dependent variable, whether this impact is positive or whether this impact is negative and whether it is significant or not. So let me show you uh, the table view. Let me show you some of the interpretation which are required here. Like table C above in it FI or financial institutions ownership positive, significant of. Now, financial institutional ownership is basically this variable, and firm performance is basically RO. Always remember that whenever you are considering correlation coefficient, you need to understand whether this is weak positive or strong positive. But in case of regression analysis, you need to understand that there is nothing like weak or strong in case of coefficient value. If there is no sign here, it means a positive impact, and if there is a negative sign here, it means negative sign. You don't need to write here the strong positive or strong negative. You just need to write here the positive or negative impact. So in case of FI ownership, there is a positive impact, and it is significant because the p value is greater than 1.96 and p value is less than 5%. So we can put it here. Uh, Coefficient value is indicated by beta sign. Go to the insert and you will see the symbols. You need to find out whether there is a beta sign here. Yes, this one. Equal. You need to put it here, the coefficient value, like this. And you need to put the p value, which is greater than 1.96. You can put it here, the p value. You can also write the p value, which is 0.035. It is less than 5%. So it makes it significant. You can make it italic, control I. So this is how you can interpret a regression. In the same way, you can write the interpretation of this, you can write the interpretation of this, and you can write the interpretation of these everyone. You can also write the interpretation of R square here. You will interpret the remaining variables. Always remember that you don't need to interpret the constant. It is beta naught basically. You don't need to interpret this. You just need to provide interpretation of your independent variable, whether they are significantly impacting or not. The R square value is interpret like I would like to show you. Table shows. Always remember that these are the things like number of observation, f value, and r square. These are the things that you need to provide interpretation at first. Then you will provide the interpretation of your independent variable in the second instance. So the table shows that there are 1955 observations of data set for study. You can also include the pooled data set for this study. F value uh, statistically model you can indicate the value, which is 83.40, this value, with the p value as 0.40. This p value should be less than 0.05 to make your model statistically fit. So this is statistically fit and significant model, right? Then we need to interpret the R square. The R square indicates the R square value indicates approximately 23% variation. ROA is explained by independent variable, explained by the variation in independent variables of the study. Here you can also put the names of your independent variables. All right. So this is how you can interpret the others value, and this is how you can interpret your variables one by one. So up to here, if you have any question, you can ask. Do you have any question up to this level? You can ask. This is how we done the regression. Please let me know if you have any question regarding this. Adnan Afzal or Waqar Muhammad. All okay. All right. We can proceed further. Was all right. Next is regression assumptions. Uh, Today we will discuss only the theoretical grounds of regression assumption, and tomorrow we will check the regression assumption one by one. You need to understand that there are six assumptions. Whenever we need to check whether our data is valid for further analysis or not, we need to test the assumptions of regression. There are six assumptions. The first assumption is linearity, which indicates the linearity of independent variable and dependent variable. The second is absence of significance outlier. That is the second assumption that we need to check regarding the presence of any possible outlier in our data. Then the third assumption is absence of heteroscedasticity in our data. Whether there is heteroscedasticity, how to confirm that our data is heteroscedastic or not. Then the fourth assumption is multicollinearity. If our data has some multicollinearity, how to check it? Then we can also check the normality of residues, if our data is residual or if our data follows the normal distribution with reference to estimation. Then there is another assumption which is basically required in case of time series data, that is autocorrelation or serial correlation. So theoretically we will discuss one by one. Assumption one is linearity. Linearity basically tells you whether there is a linear relationship between your variables, dependent and independent. And there are ways like scatter plot I have discussed previously, but we will also make it a little reminder or little again. Then we may have some other values or other procedures to test the normality of the data. Then the second assumption is outlier. Outlier are simply the single data points within your data that do not follow the usual pattern. They may be different from other values of the data. For example, uh, you may have a study of 100 students with IQ score where the mean score is 108 with only a small variation. Uh, you may find some values like 156 or some unusual value which is 1% of the IQ score globally. Then this data might be some, you can say, this data may indicate some outliers. So how can we check the outliers? We may have some procedure. We may run the regression and then we may check the AV plots here. Then there is third assumption, that is homogeneity of variance or absence of heteroscedasticity. Heteroscedasticity is the error variance. When we may have variance in some error terms, that should be constant at all level or all observation, that is known as heteroscedasticity. We may need to have homoscedasticity in our data. So in order to check whether our data is homoscedasticity or heteroscedasticity, we may have some practical sequence. Graphically, we have some commands, and we may also have some commands in a non-graphical way like Bruce-Pogan test, and we may have some remedial measures also. So we will discuss it tomorrow. Then we have absence of multicollinearity. Multicollinearity is basically the correlation between independent variables. So if the independent variables are highly correlated with each other, it means that if their correlation value is greater than 0.80 and they are also significant, it means that there is an issue of multicollinearity, which should be corrected. So there are some procedure that we need to test with multicollinearity. There is VIF procedure in order to check the multicollinearity. There are Collin procedure that I will discuss tomorrow. Then you need to understand the normally distribution of the data. This assumptions require that your error term should be normally distributed. If you have number of observation greater than 30, then you don't need to check this assumption of normality. But if your data shows the number of observation less than 30, then you need to check whether your residual are normally distributed or not. So we have some graphical procedure, and we may have some non-graphical procedure to check the normality of the data. So I will let you know how to check it. Then we have the sixth assumption, which is autocorrelation or serial correlation. As we have some time series data too, we will check this assumption on the time series data. So we may have some procedure which is graphical and non-graphical. Like non-graphical procedure is Durbin-Watson test. So we can apply this procedure on our time series data. So I will let you know all these things tomorrow, and I will also let you know how to consider the remedial measures to rectify if your uh, data has some uh, some violation of these assumptions. So if any of these assumption is violated, how to make correction in your data, how to what are the remedial measures, what we can do further to analyze our data. So up to this level, if you have any questions, you can ask, or we can conclude this session. Yes, Adnan, Afzal, Bhai, if you have any question, you can ask. Bakar, Muhammad, if you have any question, you can ask.
It's okay.
All right, Bakar, Muhammad, do you have any question? All right, Bakar Muhammad is also says okay. So let's have our first Aftari today, and let's meet tomorrow for the further session. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for this lovely and wonderful session.